winning clients with Brian Ellington and Camryn Cisneros. Take it away.
I wanted to talk to you about so many things, but I thought that we could use the bulk of our time to talk about community and networking and how you build a strong network. And I know you do it necessarily not from a standpoint of, pure lead generation and things like that, but there are agents who do leverage networks as a primary driver of leads for their business. And I think a lot of agents could learn a lot from what you've done. So maybe could I start by just asking you to give a brief introduction of who Camryn is and how you came to be the Camryn that we know?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I came into real estate in 2022. I originally am from Oklahoma or from New Jersey. I served in the military as an 88 mic truck driver. So that brought me to Oklahoma. That was my duty station. And when I got out in 2022, I jumped 2 feet into real estate because I was genuinely looking for purpose. I was looking for a place of collaboration and community. And I wasn't really getting that from the military. So when I finished my contract, I jumped into real estate. I was 22, going through a divorce, not from Oklahoma, with zero sphere of influence. I came in with just a heart, grit, and some vision. And I just implemented that idea. And eXp was the first and only brokerage I've been to. And essentially, once I got my license, came to eXp, it completely changed my life. Just within a year of being at eXp, it gave me the tools and systems. I opened up 6 streams of income, surpassed 6 figures, and bought my first house just shy of 23 years old. And then I also became corporate 2 months into being an agent. And that truly helped me find community and be able to collaborate and find my special niche, and that of which is building relationships. Within a year and a half of being at eXp, I came across One eXp, our affinity groups. There's 14 of them, and I became the chair for the Pride Network. And that's really where things took off for me as far as building community. So I came in as a co-chair, and within a year of doing that, we grew it from 990 members to what's now standing over 20,000 members, and now has become the largest industry-specific LGBTQ plus advocacy group that has ever been created, and the fastest resource group that eXp has ever had. So it's honestly, I give a lot of the credit to just eXp gave me all the tools and the systems to build the dream as large as I wanted to. And that came through, intentional programming, radical collaboration, and having visibility backed by purpose. I think that our success falls directly in the reciprocity of our ability to problem solve, impact, cultivate relationships, and to continuously propel them forward, regardless if it is building your business as an agent, or if it's somebody as a staff member looking to immerse themselves in community, and anybody that's looking to build influence. If you're a rev share program, if you're building your rev share, I do produce as an agent. I do have a rev share. I'm opening up my own team, Cam & Co Real Estate, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the short blurb of how I got to where I am now, but that's just through radical collaboration, programming, and just being intentional with it, backed by purpose.
Yeah. And remarkable results too. And you and I kind of talked about this, and I shared about my friend Stephanie Stone Robb in San Antonio. She's got I think it's a French bulldog. Stephanie, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a French bulldog community on Facebook, right? And although that's not her only community on Facebook, she does get deals out of that. I know other agents who have similar, like what the average person would not even have thought of as a community, but because of who they are, where they're from, what they like, it just occurred to them that either to join that community or even to start one, right? And then get after it. Going from 990 folks to over 20,000 in, what was it, a little over a year?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. So that definitely takes intentionality. That doesn't just happen by accident. So what I wondered is if maybe there's a blueprint now, whether you want to start a pride group or you want to start a group based on ethnicity. Like my friend Jenny opened up the local chapter of ARIA here in Austin, Texas, asked me to be one of the founding members with her. I am not Asian, but I do have a passion for advocacy and helping agents succeed. And so I was a natural fit for her because I could also teach classes and things like that as part of it. So there's no stopping based on what languages you speak, what color you are, or anything like that. Creating advocacy groups is certainly one way. Creating charity groups, creating whatever sort of network and affinity groups you want to. I think there's probably a blueprint to be had in talking through your experience. I'm kind of curious. Can you try your best to narrate for us how one goes from 990 members to 20,000 in a year's time?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a great question because I think in real estate, we all know that people do business with those that we know, like, and trust, right? And we want to shift it from chasing to attracting. And a lot of that was built through creating consistent events and programming. So one of the things that Pride Network we launched was Tea Time. And that was a program that we have once a month where we're spotlighting LGBTQ plus agents, allies, those that just want to get plugged into the community and amplifying their voices and creating intentional connection so that it wasn't just about attendance, it was about connection and connecting with people and amplifying voices. And truly, we even know this in the Rev Share program, it only takes one person to change your life. We can recruit and partner with as many people, but it takes that one person that can truly change the trajectory of our growth and consistently putting those people forward. And not asking myself, how do I grow to 20,000? I had to ask myself, who do I have to be? What kind of person do I have to be in order to attract those that want to be around me? And that was through, instead of focusing on seizing opportunities, it was about creating opportunity. And that was my focal point in my shift in my career. Because the first 2 years, I was focused on, okay, how do I seize more opportunity? How do I get to the next level? And in my leadership now, I'm very much an egalitarian person. But what I do is I move fast, but never alone. And I implemented that with the Pride Network. So I not only welcomed a community of people with me, but intentionally sought out opportunities to elevate others. And then that just became like a magnet. Everyone wanted to be a part of it, and everyone realized that there was purpose. When I first came into Pride at 990-ish members, I saw there was potential for a movement because it kind of was just a space. And one of the things was people knew who Pride Network was, but they didn't really understand the purpose behind it, or they had no idea who we were because our outreach hadn't been there yet. So I focused on elevating, amplifying voices, and then also creating opportunities for others. And that just naturally attracted, anyone from top producing leaders to agents that are new in the company, just seeking out community. And we were able to plug them in with people that would essentially inspire them, people that are doing what they dream to do and saying, hey, I see you, I believe in you, I have the vision for you. This is how we're going to connect you. And I think that's the powerful thing about leadership that you and I talked about is people will follow those that have the vision. Because if they can see what you can see, that there would be no reason to follow you. You carry that vision. And even when people would tell me that, when I was just talking about 10,000, they were like, well, that's crazy. How in the world are you going to do that? And then I was like, well, watch me, and then it took 8 months for us to hit that. And what was crazy is that the 20,000 was on my vision board, but I was supposed to hit that before 2026. And we hit that by Q2 of this year. So I had to bump up our goal because we hit it a lot faster than I anticipated. But that's the beauty of it is now people see our purpose and they see our mission and they see that it's a movement, and I think the greatest form of change does happen at a hyper local level. But by doing that, we have to amplify the voices here on the national and international level so they understand how to do that at the local sector.
Okay. Starting to get a little bit of the blueprint here. So start with the vision.
Yep.
Understand what that is going to mean for you in terms of your own growth, right? Be the kind of person that attracts that many people. Elevate others, I heard you say, pushing them forward, letting them shine. And by the way, you're going to get so much more brilliance in your network, whatever it is, if you're doing that instead of trying to do it all yourself. And I'm curious, I want to talk kind of the mechanics because I think there'll probably be some instruction in that. So when you first joined the Pride Network, what were the mechanics of it? How often were you meeting? What were people doing in the meetings and things of that nature?
Originally, we didn't have a monthly meetup at all. That was when I was just a DEI liaison when I first started. When I became the chair, we had launched that Tea Time. And systematic process, I used what I call the 4 M's. I learned it in the 9-Figure Mindset, Brandon Dawson. It is a fantastic book, but it's called Model, Mimic, Master, Multiply. And so the concept was to build influence. So we had to model that concept. Who inspires me that I can say, like, I would want to trade places with that person? I have to get them in my inner circle because we're the average of our 5 closest people. So I modeled those that inspired me, top leaders, C-suite executives that are building influence at a much greater level than I was, and then mimicking their processes and systems. How are they amplifying voices? What are they doing to build impact? And that was creating opportunities via the tea times or creating monthly panels. We have 1EXP Culture Cast, and that we would invite guest members, people that are top producers or agents in the community looking to amplify their voice. So we would mimic what top producer leaders or people that were building large influences were doing. What they were doing was amplifying and collaborating with those that were 10 steps above them and pulling that community into their sector and pulling that into their inner circle. So we were doing that, model, mimic, and then we mastered the concept by continuously propelling relationships forward. Because I think it's a lot of this is who we know and who is supporting us. Like, I am a cultivated mixture of every leader that has mentored me and poured into me. Because I cherry pick what I love about everybody, and then I implement it into my concepts and my plans. And so people like Kendall Bonner, Wendy Forsythe, Leo, people, Amy Somerville, I was watching what they were doing at their level, building influence and sustaining it, right? Because it's not just about building it, but it's also about retention. And so mastering those concepts by getting into intimate rooms with people like that inspired me, and then multiplying and transferring those concepts into the communities via tea time or going to the 1EXP resource affiliate groups. Because a lot of it was synergy and intersectionality, right? Long story short, synergizing with the other 14 affinity groups, because it's not just about pride. I'm a part of 5 of them myself because I'm also a woman, I'm a military veteran, I'm 25 years old, and I'm also Hispanic. So that's EXP Latino, Military Network, Women's Impact, Young Professionals, and Pride. So I found that a lot of those people found intersectionality with us because they're within 1, 2 to 3 degrees of relation to someone that is affected by this community. And even if not, regardless of where you are in real estate, the representation on your transaction makes or breaks consumer experience. You want to make sure that you're equipped with the right tools and assets so that when you are serving the general members of the public, you at least have a community that's going to back you and help you and help educate you through the process, even if that's not something that comes from your walk of life. And so, yeah, the 4 M's were like the mechanical logistics: model, mimic, master, multiply, getting those that have inspired me and taking that knowledge and implementing it forward, but also not stop. Like, don't be hesitant, right? If I did it scared. When I was 22, 23, talking to people that were at C-suite level, of course it scared me, because I think a lot of times as we grow older, our imagination diminishes into what's realistic. And people tend to shrink our gifts to the size of what they can stand. And if we're not in the right rooms, generally people will try to shrink us to what is to the environment that we're in. And so being, doing it, but doing it scared, and being not afraid to fail, because every failure is the equal seed of a greater opportunity. And as long as I was able to take something valuable from that, then I knew I was moving in the right direction.
So we talked a little bit about kind of right vision, aligning with the right people, kind of voice of customer, so to speak, in the mix. And then presuming we've done all that, now how do we go out to the world to say we're here? So you went from 990 to 20,000, right? And I'm going to assume in 20,000 with a population of 87,000 agents, there's a whole lot of allies and advocates in there as well, right? So being inclusive, how do you go get those people to pay attention and show up, put their name on a network, a platform, a Facebook group, or whatever, or even get them involved?
Yeah, I would say, it's aligning with the engagement, right? So staying consistent with, we do like weekly prompts, like tag your favorite ally. We partnered with People Team. People team has helped us give, like, we're working just this month, we're doing over 50 giveaways just from People team's collaboration with us. People love, participating in things that they know that they could win something, right? Giving back in those ways, it helped a lot, in creating engaging prompts on Workplace and having our leaders staying consistent in liking posts, lifting people up, shouting them out, like weekly shout outs, throwing them in newsletters. We have Diane Truman, the editor in chief, having her out there seeking out agents in our network that are to write articles, whether they're allies or they're people, members of the LGBTQ plus community. So seeking out intentional opportunities for those that are not just a part of the community, but are definitely allies. Because that was one of the first things I said when I first joined. I was like, there's got to be more than 900 gay people here. There's no shot that there's only 900 gay people at EXP. I refused to believe that. And so that was when I started finding more gay people. And I was like, are you a part of the Pride Network? And they were like, either, no, I didn't know we had that, or no, because I didn't really see a point to it. And so I was like, okay, if they know who they are and they don't understand the purpose, then that's what we have to work on. If the own community itself doesn't understand what would be the purpose to doing it, why in the world would an ally want to? Because if they couldn't see it, then nobody else would see it either. And so obviously, first and foremost, it's a referral network, right? Coming into 2024, 2025, queer migration is a huge topic. A lot of people are fleeing conservative states. Like my state, I'm seeing it a lot in Oklahoma. A lot of queer migration, people fleeing out of here, and Texas, Georgia, Florida, where they're a lot more aggressive with their anti-LGBTQ plus bills. We have some states that are trying to erase trans in general. Like they've already erased the acronym, the T, off the government websites. I'm like, we're the LGBs. Like this is back in the 1980s and like 70s when we didn't have all the acronyms yet. They're trying to take us out one by one, And so understanding the importance of, the representation truly matters on your transaction. We wanted to make sure that first and foremost, this is a safe space for both you as an agent, but for your clients too. And that was one of the edges that we had. We've also been able to leverage this to recruit agents to EXP and partner with them, because we have competitors like KW has the KW Rainbow Network. And, it's great, but they're not focused on impact the way that we are. And agents saw that. Agents saw that when we were present at conferences. That was a big thing, is being present at conferences and where we are connecting with leaders across the nation, not just within EXP, but connect outside of EXP too. All of these allies and advocates and those that are in other brokerages and their resource groups, their LGBTQ plus, looked at us and they were like, I want to be a part of that. How do I get in with them? Because they saw that there was energy, there was enthusiasm, but most importantly, there was vision and purpose. And so a lot of it not only just came from existing members of EXP, but we also were able to collaborate and get people from other brokerages that needed that community, especially at a time right now where we need it most.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you find your tribe, whatever that is for you. It's remarkable how quickly you can build a network of people who care about you because you're living a shared experience with them in some fashion or another. And when you have that kind of person in an area versus some agent you don't know, even with another network, by the way, who are you more inclined to send a referral to? Chances are it's going to be you because you've endeared them in whatever way you have.
Yeah.
Cam, thanks so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. And thanks so much for doing everything you're doing for the Pride Network and all the other resource groups as well.
Thank you for having me. This was a really fun conversation. I'm glad I got to be a part of it and connect with you. This is awesome.
Same. And I'm expecting 40,000 this time next year, okay?
It's on the vision board. You already know it.
I bet it is. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much, Brian. And thank you, Camryn. I butchered your last name on the way in there. It happens sometimes. You got to try to get it right. Cisneros. I just keep messing that up. Cisneros. I gotcha. I gotcha. Thank you for sharing today. We appreciate it. Thanks you for everything you do. And by the way, you and I need to get on a Zoom next week. We got some things we need to talk about. So I'm looking forward to meeting up with you next week.